Welcome back to Reliving Retro. This is Season 5, Episode 9. And if you're new here, we pick one game at random, invite a guest on to rate it in 5 different categories: story, gameplay, visuals, sound, and how well it aged. And you can check out our Patreon. We quickly want to thank our new patron, Caden, for joining the ride. Appreciate that. And you can join for $2 a month, and you can put your game on there that you want us to play. We're going to get to it a lot quicker if you do it on the Patreon, because our master list is like 300 games long at this point. So the Patreon is a much smaller list if you want to get your game played a lot quicker. And then again, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, TikTok, Spotify if you're watching on YouTube if you're listening on Spotify. And you can also check us out on Twitch, which is where we stream these games every single week. And this week we have a very special guest. Now allow him to introduce himself. Go ahead, man.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm one half of SuperPodSaga. You can just find all of our stuff on our website, SuperPodSaga.com. It's we have all of our episodes on there, our blog, all of our socials and all that stuff. Tommy and I, we just basically the show. We just take turns picking a topic each episode. It'll be something random like games with most replayability, or like sometimes we'll talk about like one specific console and stuff like that. But we also make up goofy, dumb ads like in the middle of each episode too. Like our most recent one was like flavored teeth or something stupid. And yeah, that's the show.
Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. Let's ask you a couple of getting to know you questions. So just, I guess, quickly describe your introduction to gaming, maybe your first console, how old you were when you got it, who you got it from, that kind of thing.
Oh boy, I think the very first console I remember ever playing was for sure the NES. When my mom first met my stepdad, my sister and I would play his NES like all the time, and there was one Simpsons game. It was like all about Krusty. I forget what it was called. That was the first game I remember ever playing.
Krusty's Funhouse, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That and some like, you remember Cool Spot, the 7-Up mascot? There was
we played it. Yep.
Yeah, there was some checkers game that was for sure there too.
That's awesome.
Nice.
What would you say some of your favorite types of genres of games to play are?
Oh my god, for sure JRPGs, puzzle game. I'm a nut for puzzle games like matching, like Magical Drop, and of course Tetris and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And roguelikes too. I'm a total addict to, or totally addicted to roguelikes of any kind at all. For sure deck builders too.
Very cool.
Nice.
What would you say some of your favorite JRPGs are?
Final Fantasy IX is for sure at the very top of that.
Nice. Me too.
Earthbound and Chrono Cross are those are my top 3 for sure.
Did you do research or something? Because one of Yaiser's favorites is Final Fantasy IX, and my favorite RPG is Earthbound.
I didn't do any research at all. We're all just meant to be friends, I guess.
I guess so, dude.
That's great. What games have you been playing lately?
I've been playing Diablo 4 nonstop. In between that, like sometimes I'll take breaks and play. Like they added Fire Emblem to the Switch Online, I think like Monday. So I played that a couple times, and oh man, I'm still addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh! So I play Master Duel sometimes. And that's about it.
I gotta ask, if you're addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh, have you ever played Duelist of the Roses for the PS2?
Oh hell yeah, that and the one that was on GameCube, the Forbidden. No, I don't remember what it's called. I have played.
Forbidden Memories is for the PS1, but I don't remember the GameCube title.
Oh
no,
man.
either.
But yeah, the PS2 one, I love that one. It's one of my favorite PS2 games of all time.
Nice.
It's so good.
Weird.
It's so different, right, than just like the normal like Yu-Gi-Oh game. You know what I mean? Like I like the normal ones too. I think like I played like Worldwide Edition for the GBA, and that one I probably sunk the most hours in is as far as like normal like Yu-Gi-Oh card game goes. But yeah, Duelist of the Roses is so good. And if anybody ever asks me to recommend like a PS2 game other than like, you know, some of the top titles or whatever, I'm always like, yeah, dude, you have to check out. Even if you don't like Yu-Gi-Oh, like just check it out. It's a fun game.
It's still good. Hell yeah.
The False-Bound Kingdom was the
False. Yes. There we go.
Oh, for
That's
the
what it
GameCube?
was.
for GameCube. Yeah.
Nice. All right. This week we played Solomon's Key for the NES. And Yaiser, did you beat the game? How many hours did you play?
I did not beat the game. I played for I don't know, hour and a half maybe.
Yeah.
I got stuck on a level and kind of gave up, and then you beat it for me, and I didn't go back to it.
Yeah, we were at too many games this weekend, and Yaiser brought a Switch, and he was like, "Dude, I can't get past this level." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'll show you." And then I showed him, and then he was like, "Okay, I hate this game still." No, he didn't say that, but
I didn't hate it.
No. Aaron, what about you? How many hours did you put in, and did you beat it?
I'd say I put maybe 5 or 6 hours into it, and I got
Nice.
to, let me check my notes, level 10. Yeah, room 10. And
Nice.
I've tried so many times, dude. I cannot get past room 10. It's just so ridiculous.
I played for probably about 4 or 5 hours as well. Because I played for I would say just over maybe like 3.5, close to 4, something like that on my Switch, and then I played for about an hour on stream with no rewind, which was that was
Brutal.
tough. Yeah, with no rewind, this game is brutal. No rewind, I think I got to level 7 or room 7, and
That's pretty good. Honestly.
with rewind, I got to room 12. So I didn't beat the game, but
How many are there?
so I looked it up. How many? Yeah, there's like 64 if you count like the secret levels. It's too many. Because I looked it up when I was at like room 10, and I was like, if there's like 20, I'm gonna go for it. You know what I mean? But I saw 64, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna put that kind of time into it. I was having fun with it though. It was fairly addicting, and we can get into that in a second here. But Yaiser, had you heard of this game at all before this week?
No, not at all.
You're not a big NES guy though. Like you didn't.
I
grow up
didn't
playing
play
it
very
or
many
like that.
games for it. No, I think I played Super Mario 3 and a little bit of 2 and Bubble Bobble, and that's basically it.
Ooh, Bubble Bobble's good.
Yeah. Aaron, what about you? I mean, you'd obviously heard of it, yeah.
The only way I ever heard about it was when they first added it to the Switch Online thing, because I remember trying it, and I thought, ooh, like I watched the trailer. I meant to say this is when I saw it for the first time when they announced it, and I was like, ooh, that looks kind of cool. And then I played it, and I died a bunch, and I was like, no, fuck this. And then you sent me that list, and I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah, so I thought I knew what this game was before we played it, but then when I realized it was a puzzle game, I was like, I don't think I've ever played this before, because I like I said, I thought I knew what it was, but I was entirely wrong. So no, I had never played it before this week at all. But spoiler alert, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect to enjoy this game as much as I did. But before we get into that, let's start off with story. Aaron, do you want to kick us off with story?
Oh man, okay, yeah. I noted down there wasn't a whole lot to it. It's just oh man, what was it? The main dude is just trying to save his sister or something. No, yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the game, it doesn't give you really anything. In the game, it's just basically like, hey, you're got to get to the door. There's some fairies for some reason. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of all it says, right? Like I don't. There's no like cutscene at the beginning of the game, is there?
Not
Yeah,
that I know of.
I was gonna
I
say,
only
I
know
didn't
about the
see
story from like Wikipedia.
Yeah, so I just looked up the manual and read the prologue, and essentially it just says, and I'll just skim through this quickly. It says, long, long ago, the world was in a state of chaos where demons caused evil and tormented all. That changed when Solomon, a great king and magician, invented a magical formula which he wrote inside of a secret book called Solomon's Key. The book arrested and sealed away all evil demons into a constellation sign, which was hidden. Solomon's Key restored light and peace to the world. Upon hearing about this legend, a monk searched for a long period of time to find Solomon's Key. After locating the constellation sign, he discovers the key. Once in his grasp, many dreadful demons were freed from the magical power of the book. The world was then brought back to the chaos and darkness. Everything on Earth was now under control by the demons, just like the pre-creation days. King Utra from the fairyland called Lyrak ordered the wizard Dana to restore order back to the world. Dana accepted this mission and stepped into the forbidden land of the constellation sign. And you are Dana. So
I don't know what the fuck I was thinking of.
so that's but I mean, honestly, like if you don't look it up, you're not going to know anything, right? So I mean, as far as like story goes, I'll just kick off the rating real quick. I'm going to give it a 3 because I think the prologue in the manual does a good job of explaining what had happened and kind of where you're, I guess, taking control from. But you don't get any of that in the game at all, and it doesn't progress the story. I'm assuming until you get to the very end, and then there's probably some sort of cutscene or whatever. But
yeah, probably
through 10 to 12 of these rooms, you know, unlocking doors and rescuing fairies, there's no story, there's no context to it. So I gave it a 3 because I just gave it the benefit of the doubt of like the story itself sounds pretty cool, but there's nothing in the game itself. What about you, Yaiser?
I gave it a 2.5 for basically all the same reasons. I thought when like we kind of went over it before the show, what it said in the manual, and it sounds cool the way they're setting it up. Like that's a pretty cool like concept and everything. But literally, I didn't see. There's none of it in the game.
Yeah,
I mean, at all. So
yeah, it's tough. You wouldn't even know your character's name unless like you finished the level, because at the end of the level it says like "Thank you, Dana" or something like that.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron? What would you give it out of 5?
I also gave it a 2 just because, like, yeah, in the game it tells you nothing, but when I looked it up, it was pretty damn detailed and pretty damn complex, but a lot more than I expected from an NES puzzle game for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. That's actually another good point, is that this is a puzzle game, so the story doesn't really have to be anything. You know what I mean? It's just most puzzle games, there's no story. You just play puzzle game. You know, so this is like the fact that it even has a story, like, or a prologue, is like somewhat impressive, I think, for the age of the game. All right, let's move over to gameplay. Yaiser, you want to kick it off for gameplay?
Sure, dude. It was, you know, your guy controlled fairly well. But I feel like, you know, it was limited, obviously, to fucking 6 buttons. So
yeah, essentially.
So you can't expect a lot from it. But I don't know. I felt like I was wanting more out of it. I don't know. Maybe a couple puzzle games aren't my shit, but I landed on a 2.5. I tried to have fun.
That's honestly higher than I thought you would have given it, to be fair, just because I know that you don't typically enjoy puzzle games.
Yeah, but I couldn't really be mad at it for like feeling old or clunky or anything. So, you know, I went right down the middle here.
So I landed higher than that. I'll get into it in a second, but I just wanted to go over some of the buttons here. So up is jump, right? Obviously left and right, you're running in those directions, and then down is crouching. So that's all pretty intuitive. I don't think, you know, you don't need the manual to figure all that out. You can jump diagonally and walk in a crouched position, which I think is pretty cool. And then you have the A button, which places a stone, and then you also have the B button, which is for a fireball. And so I'm like, you know what? They gave you an attack. They gave you like an object to place to move around. As far as like the controls go, I thought the controls were pretty good. They felt responsive. I didn't think that they felt that clunky. I just felt that there wasn't much to it, which is, I mean, it's an NES puzzle game, so there's not going to be much to it. But I felt like for what they had, they really, really utilized the controller really well. So, so just the controls alone, I thought were pretty impressive. And I will say the thing that knocked gameplay down a bit for me was how many levels they have. There's just too many. It's just too many levels.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a kid and being like, level 47? I haven't beaten this game yet? You know what I mean? Like, it's too many levels.
Been playing this for 35 hours.
It's like way too many levels.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah. So that took gameplay down a bit for me, but I was overall really impressed with it. There were points where I'm like, how did I die there? Like, I don't even understand what killed me. And then I'm like, oh, I have to block off that entrance because that one dude's flying around the wall. Like, I didn't even realize. So like, it kind of makes you learn like how to, how to play it through like trial and error, which again, of the time is like, that's pretty much how you played video games in the 80s is trial and error. Yeah, I don't know. I was really impressed with it. I had a lot of fun with it. I ended up giving it a 4. What about you, Aaron?
I also gave it a 4. Because it's cool how it's a lot of the puzzles. I kind of cheated because I would jump over enemies to get to like like the door or like to get to different parts of the puzzle. Yeah, it's just it does suck that up was the jump button because it was always kind of weird to like be running and then have to hit up real fast, but like also hold right or left so you fall in the right spot. But yeah, they can only do so much with the buttons on the controller and everything. The timer, I'm kind of split on the timer for the level too, because like it'd be cool if you had time to like plan out and like think for the puzzles and to get through each level, but instead it's just like, nope, you better fucking hurry, there's 80 things flying across the screen, but fucking get at it, dude.
Yeah, you're gonna play every level like at least 10 times probably on your first playthrough because of the timer, right? You can't just sit there and think before doing your next step. Which again, it's kind of like the Majora's Mask thing. Like, do you like the timer? Do you not like the timer? Like, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I think I was fine with the timer on the Switch because you can just rewind it, so it's not a big deal. Yeah.
That's true.
But it's kind of hard to grade it on that though, just because like the Switch wasn't out when this game came out. But yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the timer. And I think that jumping over enemies is another really good thing to bring up because I'm surprised you could do it in an NES puzzle game. You'd like jump like successfully and accurately like jump over enemies. That it wasn't that hard to jump over enemies. So I thought that was pretty cool because I was thinking like there's no way I'm going to be able to clear these guys, right? And then I was trying it. I was like, oh, actually, you can kind of just clear dudes. That's cool. So yeah, I thought the gameplay was actually really good. All right, let's move over to visuals. Aaron, you want to kick it off for us in visuals?
Yeah, this one was tough. I gave it a 4.
Yeah.
For like because all the different sprites on the screen, like they do look pretty unique. Like there's different unique sprites for different enemy types, and they're all colorful and they pop. Nothing kind of just like they don't just do like plain gray or whatever for each of them. And then the run cycle on the main character also drove me crazy. I mean, the run cycle looks good on Dana or whatever. Like it's pretty cool for an NES game. But yeah, 4 because it looks pretty good.
Yeah, just to piggyback off you here, I gave it a 3.5. I do think it looks really, really good. For exactly all the reasons you said, basically, like I thought all the sprites looked really good. You could tell what everything was, except for, it was really hard to distinguish the difference between the magic items sometimes. Meaning like the jars and which jar was different and what, you know what I mean? What I really needed the jar for. Cause like there's some jars that kind of add a fireball. There's some jars that, one jar adds like a super fireball. And then there's like a scroll, which adds like the amount of fireballs you can carry. And, yeah. So, I mean, like there are those like magic items, and those I thought were kind of hard to distinguish the difference between. But other than that, I felt like, all the enemy sprites, they all looked really good. The background didn't need to be it didn't need to be anything crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I landed on 3.5 because I felt like for an NES game, it looked pretty solid. What about you, Yaiser?
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I had 3.5 down too.
Cool.
Basically, just because, I mean, like you guys already said it all, but for the era, it really did look pretty great for NES.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add about visuals before we move on to sound?
That's it.
Alrighty, cool. All right, let's move over to sound. I have an issue with the sound, but it's not because I didn't like the sounds that were there. It's kind of because I wish that there was a lot more.
Yes.
So looking it up, I looked up the OST on YouTube, and there's, I believe, 8 tracks, and that's it. And most of them are like situational tracks, like "Game Over" or like "Level Passed" and stuff like that, where like the actual like in level tracks, there's only 2 of them, and then like the final level, and that's it. So the only time the music changes is really the final level, and I'm gonna have to YouTube that because there was no way I was getting there. So so I gave sound a 2.5 just because I liked what was there, but I wish that there was a lot more. Aaron?
Yeah.
Mine was pretty darn close. I gave it a 3. Yeah, the sounds are good, but exactly like you said, there's like nothing there, dude. It's nowhere near as many as like other games like Castlevania or Mario. Like, yeah, there's this is bare bones as hell. But it sounds good. But yeah, 3 for me.
Yeah, I actually thought that some of the levels like had like catchy music too, but it's really just okay. It's only catchy when you hear it, 4 or 5 times,
the same one.
not 20 to 30 times. Yeah,
After replaying the same level over and over and over like 5 times, you start to get really fucking annoyed by that main track that plays in level.
Yeah.
you do. What about you, Yaiser?
I actually had 2.5 down here as well. I think maybe, if I got further into the game, into level, 20s, 30s, 40s, and they're still playing the same goddamn song, I might have docked it a few more points there. But
luckily for the game, you didn't play that far.
Yeah. So yeah, it sounded fine, I guess.
Yeah. And as far as like the sound effects go and stuff like that, I thought that they were, fairly stock or whatever for the time. Like, I didn't think that there were anything that, it was definitely nothing that blew me away. Usually with these NES games, you kind of have like very similar sounding sound effects, and then it's kind of the music that kind of separates it from the rest of the games, in my opinion. So the music, like I said before, the music that was here, I enjoyed for the most part. But if they just expanded that library a little bit, it would have been so much more enjoyable.
More tracks, less levels.
Definitely.
For sure,
definitely.
please.
20 levels, 10 tracks. You repeat 1 track each time. It would have been great. I would have been so down. This game would have been a 5 out of 5.
God, I can't imagine. Like, I had such a bitch of a time with level 10. I can't even begin to imagine what level 60 is like. That's got to be some like Ikaruga fucking bullet hell shit.
Yeah. This game was hard, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't hard in like a super frustrating way, because I'm like, well, I got to be able to, I got to be able to beat it. Like, it's a puzzle, right? So I just got to sit down and figure out the puzzle. Like, to me, okay, I will say one thing that I felt like the game was just like, I was losing because of the game and not because of me sometimes, is like, sometimes I would set a fairy free and then it would just sit there in front of the entrance. I think it's like level 3 or something like that, where you have to put a brick down, where there's like these guys like moving back, and they're like, I don't know what they are, but they kind of look like fire turtles or something like that. And they're like walking around. You kind of have to put a brick down to like be a layer above them. And then you're trying to climb across to where the door is, and the fairy is just like floating there. And I couldn't put a brick where the fairy was, so I just kept dying to these turtle things. And it was just driving me crazy. That was the one instance, I think, where the game was like really annoying me for just being like poorly designed in that moment. But for the most part, I felt like anytime I died, I kind of deserved it. So, all right, let's move over to aged. All right, Aaron, how do you feel that this game aged?
Oh, this was pretty tough. I mean, yeah, this one, man, I'm still kind of torn. I couldn't think of. I'll give it a 3.7. We'll give it a high 3, because
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, it like the let's see, the controls and the gameplay and everything like that. They're simple, but like everything that you need is right there. It's not super complicated, and there's multiple ways to complete levels too. Like, there's not always one set way to do everything. Like when I was watching your stream, your I told you I got through one level by just like kind of zigzagging blocks and stuff, and
Yep.
that's how I did a good number of levels. Was just like block here, block there, block here, and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
and yeah, like it's I can't imagine getting to level 60. There's way too many levels.
Yeah.
And there's of course there's no like save or anything like that, but yeah, high threes, because like it's a good game, albeit too long and too few tracks.
Agreed on all
Fair
fronts
enough.
there. What about you, Yaiser?
I gave it a 3. Because it did everything it needed to do. It was controlled fine. It didn't feel old. It only felt old because of
The
how many
graphics.
buttons I could use and what it looked like.
Yeah.
And that's not really the game's fault, but more of a console issue. And the age it is. Well, I guess that's why we're doing aged, but but yeah, it wasn't awful. So
Yeah, I landed on a 3.5, basically for all the same reasons Aaron did. I think not having a save feature kills this game, especially for how many levels you have. You can't have that many levels and not have like a save feature or even a password system. It didn't seem like they had a password system either. It seemed like as soon as you're dead, you're just like, okay, now you start over. Dana, good luck, you idiot. So now it's just like you're stuck there.
mhm.
I don't know how many times I started over after like level 5 during my stream, but I mean, because I think it only takes me like 10 minutes to get to, not even, maybe like 4 minutes or something like that to get to like level 6. And I had streamed for over an hour. So I never got farther than level 7. So I replayed that first level quite a bit. Yeah, the game ages poorly in that aspect. I think it ages really well in the sense of like what it does with its like limited controller. Only the 2 face buttons, no shoulder buttons, anything like that. I think it ages really well in that aspect. I think the visuals age really well for an NES game. A lot of NES games are hard to go back and look at, and I think that this one is one of the easier ones on the eyes. And the sound, like Aaron said, like you just need more soundtracks, dude. This is not like an Atari game. You know what I mean? Like you need more. Like you just need more tracks. Yeah, so I landed at a 3.5. Overall, this game got higher scores than I expected coming into this. So Yaiser was the lowest at a 2.8. Aaron was in the middle at a 3.34, and I was the highest at a 3.4 out of 5. Comparing that to some of the games that we've played recently, Tenchu 2 was like a 2.4, 2.6 type of game for me and Yaiser. Perfect Dark was a 3.3, 3.5, so it's right in the same kind of area as Solomon's Key for us. Paperboy 2.1, 2.5. You know what I mean? Like Twisted Metal 2.9, 2.7. So a lot of these like this game actually scored a lot higher than, like I said, like that I would have ever thought.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Higher than Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal was like very
Such a
disappointing.
disappointment, man.
Yeah, going back and
Damn.
playing that. So like we always remembered it like, oh man, like Twisted Metal is one of the best PlayStation games of all time. Maybe we never played Twisted Metal 1, but we played Twisted Metal 2 or something, because Twisted Metal 1 was rough.
Mhm.
Fuck, dude.
Very.
Yeah, it's like I'm excited to go play Twisted Metal 2 because I want to be like reminded of the fun I had with Twisted Metal as a kid, but also like now I'm nervous because I'm like, I hope I don't hate it. You know what I mean? I hope it's not as bad as Twisted Metal 1. But we'll get to Twisted Metal 2 eventually, I'm sure. All right, round table. Yaiser, would you tell anybody that they should relive this game if somebody comes up to you like, hey, I've never played Solomon's Key. Should I play it?
I don't think it's a necessary like must play type of game.
No.
No, I'm gonna have to say no.
I get that. What about you, Aaron?
Oh god, I probably not. Like, well, no, fuck. I guess like maybe if they're a fan of puzzle game. No, I don't know. It's hard to say, man. Because yeah, in Yaiser's case, he's not a big fan of puzzle games, so it's not really for everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's going to take you a month and a half without turning the thing off just to beat it. So, like, how can you recommend that to somebody?
That's true, dude.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I think I think if this game had 20, I think 20 is kind of like the sweet spot, right? Because I think playing 10 levels, you're like, okay, like I've played for 4 hours or so. I think if you can get 8 hours out of a video game, then that's pretty good. I'm gonna say no though, probably. I don't think I could recommend it. It's certainly not a must play. However, I will say surprisingly, I think it probably slipped into my top 15 on the NES, which I was a little surprised about. Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
like I said, I was encouraged by it. If they came out with like another game like this, I mean, they probably have a ton of new games like this. I just don't know of them because I'm not really in that puzzle scene. But, but I mean, maybe there are. I gotta check it. I gotta check them out because I surprisingly did enjoy this a lot more than I thought I would. So if you're into puzzles, then definitely play it. I'm not gonna say it's a must play for any gamer or anything like that. All right. Now's the time of the show where we randomize what game we're playing next, and we like to play a little game with our guest where we vaguely describe the game, and you get to try and guess it. Don't feel pressure to get it right because more people get it wrong than get it right.
Okay,
by a long shot. So here we go. Let's do that. All right, what we have here is a platformer on the Game Boy, published by Nintendo, developed by HAL Laboratory, released in August of 1992.
Oh, man. There's one for sure comes to mind, but there's like 5 in that fucking series on the Game Boy, I feel like. Is it a Kirby game?
It is a Kirby game. It's Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy. It's the first one.
Okay,
yep.
Cool.
Good guess, man.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, so we'll be playing Kirby's Dream Land. Have you ever played it, Aaron?
I think so. There's too many Kirby games to keep track of, but I'm pretty sure I have.
Yeah, I feel like there's a ton of them, like for every console too. It's funny because it's not really considered one of like Nintendo's like, better like IPs. You know what I mean? Like you always think of like Mario and Donkey Kong and whatever. I feel like Kirby's never really given that like due, but he had so many games. It's kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. I've never played any of the Game Boy ones. The only one I've ever played was Kirby's Adventure for the NES, and and I've played some of the newer Switch ones with my daughter. But my gripe with Kirby is that it's always been too easy. So I guess we'll see what I think of this Game Boy one because, like I said, I've never played. And this will be our second Game Boy game that we played this season. Our first one being Metal Gear Solid for the Game Boy, which I actually really, really liked. It might be. I can't say it's my favorite Game Boy game of all time because it's hard to beat Pokemon Yellow for me. But it's certainly up there now. So we'll see if Kirby's Dream Land can get into like that top 5. All right. So before we head out, we always like to ask the guest for a retro recommendation to add to our master list. So we consider anything retro being before like pre-HD essentially, and then throwing the Wii in there. So it's like that generation, the Wii, the PS3, and the Xbox 360 before that generation is what we consider like retro currently. So if you have a game or two that you think that we should definitely give it a shot, then let us know and we'll add it to our list.
Yeah, I guess, If anything, I'd say if you haven't already, play Golden Sun on the GBA.
We haven't played that yet.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. That or The Lost Age. But
what's The Lost Age?
The Lost Age is basically just like a direct continuation of the first game, but I think they recap the story from the first game in The Lost Age, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
But they're both
gotcha.
They're both really good.
I remember starting Golden Sun when I was a kid. My buddy had it for his Game Boy, and I remember starting it on like a long car ride, and I can like vividly like picture like the rain and like just like that like startup scene or whatever from the game, but I don't remember anything else from it, and I have no idea for how long I played it. But I remember that part for sure. No, that's a great one though. So we can add that to our RPG list. So what we do for RPGs is we only play RPGs once every season, which means like once every 3 months we play an RPG. because it's really hard to like dissect and really digest an RPG in only a week.
Mhm.
So we give ourselves 2 weeks with it. And episode 12 is when we'll announce episode 12 of season 5 is when we'll announce our next RPG. And then we have like a filler episode for like episode 13 where we we recap all of season 5 and we rank the 12 games that we played within season 5. And then for season 6 episode 1 we'll play the new RPG.
Nice.
And talk about that. So yeah, we give ourselves a couple weeks with RPGs. So unfortunately, like we can't play them as much as we would like to, and a lot of our recommendations are RPGs.
But we were thinking about doing an RPG season, right?
That would be fun.
Might happen eventually.
Yeah, I might just do like just an entire RPG season just to get like a bunch of them out of the way.
Yeah,
that would be a good time. But all right, I think that's it for us for this week. So if you guys want to join us next week to check out Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy, then
yeah, man,
we have a new schedule actually. So we'll be posting this stuff on Fridays now, and then we'll be posting the gameplays on Monday on YouTube.
A little snip snap on you guys.
Yeah, we're kind of we're kind of switching it up because I started a new job where I'm only working weekends, so now it's like impossible to record on weekends for me. Because I work like 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. and that's nuts, so I can't do it. I can't do
That's a
recording
hell of
anymore.
a schedule, though. Damn, 3 days on, 4 days off? No.
Yeah. So I won't be working Monday through Thursday, but I'll be working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Well,
Anyway,
That ain't bad.
it's interesting, to say the least. But if you guys want to check out our Patreon, it's $2 a month to join there. And like I said, you can add a game for us to play. We do 3 Patreon episodes every single season. Episode 4, episode 8, and episode 12 of every single season is a Patreon episode. So you have 3 chances every single season to get your game played. Whereas if you just added it to the master list, good luck. There's like 300 games on there. But all right. So one last time, Aaron, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, just load up your browser of choice. I'm a Firefox guy myself. SuperPodSaga.com. All of our past episodes, our social medias, our blog, because we type stuff about games and stuff. SuperPodSaga.com, baby.
Cool. Awesome.
Very
Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. And we'll talk to you later.
Hell yeah, this was fun. I'd love to be on again sometime if you guys ever need somebody else.
Of course. Yeah, we'll be in touch. Take care, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.